All right. Hello and welcome to the Exercise is Medicine Wellness webinar. That is a mouthful. I am joined this evening by Lauren Schmitt, who is a manager in our outpatient cardiac rehab and pulmonary rehab programs at Outpatient Care East. She's joining us this evening to talk about rebooting wellness and building healthy post-holiday habits. So Lauren, I'll let you take it away.
Yeah, thanks, Kelly. Like she said, I am a manager, but I'm an exercise physiologist by training. So I specialize in how exercise affects the body and good ways and tips and tricks to stay healthy and how that affects the body in all different systems, not just cardiovascular and pulmonary. So understanding the holiday effects. So I know the holiday season is over and we're all getting, recouping from that time. During the holiday season, the average American will actually eat an average of 26 cookies, whether it be store-bought or homemade, 25 pieces of candy, 12 slices of pie, 13 slices of cake, cupcakes, or brownies. So that is a lot in just the holiday season. And I know I'm guilty of some of that too. This is not a shame presentation. We are allowed to indulge sometimes, but this presentation is going to be more on how to get back on track with a healthy diet and to get to the goals that you set in the new year. So I'm not sure if anyone knows what the most popular Christmas cookie in the United States is. Actually, I was kind of shocked when researching this to find that out, but it is the iced sugar cookie. Who would have thought, out of all the cookies in the world, iced sugar cookies? But in each cookie that you have, and I know I usually have more than one during the holiday season, there's 15 grams of sugar in just one cookie. So that's a lot of sugar so say you have 2 cookies, that's 30 grams. That's about as much as a bottle of Coca-Cola has. So there's a lot that goes in behind those just 1 or 2 cookies. The World Health Organization says that average adult consuming a 2,000 calorie diet should aim for no more than 25 grams of sugar in a day. So just in 2 cookies, we're already over that limit. Sugar is shown to have the same addictive properties of cocaine. That's why we always crave it. Once we start it, our body wants more because when we consume it, it gives us that energy spike and causes dopamine. It's a hormone to be released in our blood, causing a short-term high, so to speak. So that's why we often find ourselves craving sugar. And the more we eat it around the holidays, the more and more we want it later, and it's harder to quit. So as we know, the holidays are compounded with sugar and unhealthy foods. It's not just starting at Christmas time. Usually it starts at Halloween, right? We had trick-or-treaters and we have leftover candy. So we're eating that leftover candy because of course we can't let it go to waste. And then that rolls all the way through the new year. So then we have Thanksgiving, and then we have all kinds of Christmas celebrations, and then it's New Year's Eve. And then with that sugar being in our system constantly for 2+ months, our body starts to crave it more and more, and it's making the habit harder to break. So, we're having sugar overload for 2+ months. We're pretty much addicted after that, right? But the dangers of having that much sugar all the time, it's harder to quit. But a prolonged sugar intake can cause long-term effects on your health, such as obesity and diabetes. These conditions, if they're not treated, could cause high blood pressure, heart attack, and stroke. So it's definitely something that if it's a small thing here or there, it's fine, but we don't want to create it a habit. The holidays can also put a strain on your mental health. So not just your physical health, but your mental health as well. It's very common to feel anxiety, stress, and depression around this time. So usually after the holidays, people have New Year's resolutions because usually they don't feel so great, after eating all the sugar and candy and all that stuff. However, researchers show that 23% of people quit their New Year's resolutions by the end of January, by the end of the week. And then 43% of people quit the resolutions by the end of January, which is crazy, but understandable. There are 4 reasons that people tend to fail their New Year's resolutions. First is they don't have a purpose for change. Goals should start when there's a need for change that motivates the person. So I always say in pulmonary rehab and even cardiac rehab that if a patient doesn't have a motivating factor to stop smoking, they're not going to do it. So same thing with any kind of goal. If you don't have a goal in mind or a reason behind your goal, then it's very, very hard to stick to it. They underestimate the challenges of meeting the goals. So my advice is to expect obstacles, plan for these obstacles, make sure that, we're expecting a hump in the road, and that's fine. We're going to get knocked off the wagon or knocked off the horse, but getting back on it, anticipating these obstacles and not letting us defeat us. That's the biggest thing in accomplishing goals. A lot of times people set unrealistic goals. I want to lose 50 pounds in 3 months. That's a lot of weight. But however, if you want to lose 50 pounds over a year or 2 years or something like that, that's a more attainable goal. So maybe try to break down the goals into smaller chunks. Maybe instead of I want to lose 50 pounds in a year, it's I want to lose, 10 pounds in a couple of months. That's something that you can measure. You can set a goal, or it's like I want to walk a 5K, and that way you have a training plan. I want to be able to walk 1 mile by in a month, and I want to be able to walk 2 miles in 2 months or something like that. If you make the goals more attainable, they'll be more likely to achieve overall, and then you can help build that habit, and it becomes a daily part of your life. And then now you're walking a mile every day for 12 months at a time. Some of the goals that seem small now, actually, that's the easiest way to build a habit. And you have the last one is you don't have any accountability. So there's no one either keeping you accountable, or there's nothing keeping you accountable. That kind of goes back to the first thing, is if you don't have a purpose, if there's no accountability for this, if there's no purpose for this, then it doesn't really matter if you give up on your goal, because there was nothing really behind it driving it. I like to show this picture in my presentations, because often my patients come in and try to say that the doctors want them to spend more time on the treadmill, so they lay down on it. But yes, the is very tempting to not want to exercise after a big holiday season, but that's the best time to do it. Okay, so strategies. How do we strategize for building healthy habits? The first thing we're going to talk about is mindful eating. So techniques to regain control for overeating habits. I know overeating is a very big thing, especially in the United States. I'm guilty of it as well. And the biggest mistake people don't do when they go to the grocery store is bring a list. Or go hungry to the grocery store. I know I've done that 1,000 times, and I'm picking up things I would never usually get, but I'm starving and everything looks good. So sit down, start with a plan. What are you going to eat this week? Make a list, stick to the list. That's a big way, because if you don't have snacks in the house, or if you don't have cakes or cookies or brownies, you can't eat them, right? It's harder to go out and get them. Come to the table with an appetite, but don't come so hungry that you're completely famished, because that's usually when you tend to overeat, is when you're so hungry. So come hungry, definitely, but don't come so hungry that you feel like you're just ravished, because usually it takes about 20 minutes for your brain and your gut to talk to each other and say, hey, I'm full. And at that time, we've usually overeaten. A big thing that I tell my patients especially is read the food labels for portion sizes. People don't realize on the back of the food label, or on the back of the box, the back of the bottle, shows you the portion size of what that's supposed to be. For example, a bottle, a 16 ounce of Coca-Cola actually is 2 servings. So if you drink that whole bottle in say an hour, and it says that your sugar is 30 grams, and it's actually 2 servings, so it's actually 60 grams of sugar that you're consuming. Same thing for macaroni and cheese, or bag of chips. So my biggest thing I tell patients is to portion everything out. Look at the back of the food label. Okay, what's the serving size? And portion that out. If it's pretzels that you're eating, portion out a half a cup of whatever the serving size is. Or, you know, it can be as simple as butter, anything like that. Every single item of food has a portion size. So just be aware of that. And that you'll save the biggest amount of calories that way by just simply reading the label. Second strategy for building healthy habits, exercise, of course, the exercise physiologist says, exercise and movement. So tips for reintegrating physical activity into our daily routines. I know it's tough when we have been out of it for a little bit and it seems daunting, but the smallest things, like I said, even if it starts as a 10-minute walk around the block, is better than not moving at all. And then as you slowly start to build endurance, build confidence, things start to get better. So start slow and easy. Don't go to the gym and, go crazy and, walk 5 miles and then you can't walk for 3 days afterwards. You'll be less likely to continue to exercise that way. So start easy and slow. The turtle wins the race, not the hare. So overall, you'll build better habits and stay consistent if you start small chunks at a time. Have a workout buddy. I was talking about accountability earlier. If you have a friend that you're supposed to go to the gym with at 3 o'clock on every Tuesday, they're going to hold you accountable to that, and vice versa, you to them. You could be someone else's workout buddy, and you need to hold them accountable too. So it works both ways. But you're more likely to be successful and continue to exercise if you have someone there doing it along with you. And so we actually have people in rehab who only come to rehab usually because they're seeing their rehab friend in there. They make friends and they get to talking, and they're like, oh, I was hoping to see Jane today. So you would be surprised on how much it's really a motivating factor, even when you don't want to go that day. Schedule your workouts. This is the biggest thing I tell my patients to do after rehab, because you have such a structure that you get used to, and then we kind of set them free and it's like, okay, now I'm completely lost again because I have to do it on my own. But I tell them, keep the same schedule, schedule out your workouts. That way you'll be more likely to stay consistent with it. Because if you just say, oh, I'm going to exercise someday today, well, guess what? 8 o'clock rolls around and you're like, oh, I'll just do it tomorrow. So if you schedule your workout, say, I'm going to work out every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 3 p.m., it helps you keep accountability for that goal. Track your activities with health apps. The biggest thing that keep people motivated is seeing progress, right? So it's like, the Apple Watch or the Fitbit or whatever. It's like, oh yeah, I walked 10,000 steps today. Maybe next month I'll shoot for 11,000 or 12,000, or maybe it's even smaller than that. But you can start to see your progress, and even some of them track your pace of your miles. So say, I walked my mile in 23 minutes and 30 seconds. Maybe my next goal is to walk in under 23 minutes or something of that sort. It helps you stay focused on your goal, and it helps you stay consistent with your exercise. Strategies for building healthy habits as far as stress management goes. Of course, people think that, oh, I'm stressed, but it's part of life. But stress is actually one of the biggest factors in cardiovascular risk factors for cardiovascular disease. So we don't want to just brush it under the rug. We do want to address it. Mental health is becoming a bigger issue within not just the United States, but the world. So we want to find some good coping mechanisms to help reduce stress and anxiety, especially post holidays. I know that the holidays are just a hustle and bustle all the time. and you finally stop and relax, and you're just like, whoa, that was crazy. So practice mindfulness and meditation. I know a lot of people don't feel comfortable with meditation, but it simply could be just sitting in your bed quietly and just quieting your mind, closing your eyes and quieting your mind for, start, like I said, slow, start small at 5 minutes, and just let yourself be in the silence. You would have no idea how much that actually just relaxes the brain, relaxes the body when you just quiet your mind. Um, it's also okay to say no to things, as the holidays roll around. Our social battery is on zero, right? We've been through parties and work parties and traveling for the holidays. So if something comes up and your social battery is absolutely tapped out, it's okay to say no. It's not going to kill a relationship or anything like that. Um, Sometimes you need to protect your inner peace. Other times you need to get out and get some fresh air and some sunlight. I know today is an amazing day for that, especially when we've had such cold weather. But get out, get some fresh air. Vitamin D is shown to help increase your endorphin levels, and get out and get moving that way. Obviously, if your stress anxiety becomes crippling, we want you to see a mental health professional. That is something that is very important in not just your mental health, but your physical health as well. um, Coping with grief and loss. I know around the holidays it's a really hard time for a lot of people who's lost someone, or advice in the other instance, if you've lost someone around the holidays, it makes that holiday a little bit harder. So finding good ways to cope with that stress instead of just, like I said, sweeping it under the rug or shoving it inside, is going to be the most beneficial for your health. And then financial stress, of course. Christmas, comes around, and we're shelling out more money than we usually do around this time, can cause stress. So finding good ways to budget, making goals for that, and saving to help recoup from the holidays is definitely something that can help with stress and anxiety post holidays. Sleep is another big strategy for keeping your healthy habits. So strategies for improving sleep patterns and overall wellness. Obviously, exercise always comes back to that with me, right? So exercising will make you tired at night, of course, and you'll be more likely to feel tired and fall asleep and stay asleep. Have a nightly routine. So this sounds silly, and I really didn't get it until I started doing it. But when you have a nightly routine, it triggers your mind into starting to think that it's time to wind down. It's kind of like Pavlov's dog, when they train them with the treats and they start drooling when they know the treats are coming. It's kind of the same thing with your brain and your nightly routine. When you start brushing your teeth, doing your skincare, stretching, whatever your nightly routine is, it's triggering your brain to wind down, but you have to do it consistently. Otherwise your brain's not going to know that that's the time and the place to do that. Limit your naps to 20 minutes. Honestly, I can't nap. I'm not a napper because when I nap, I sleep for 2 hours. If I do nap, I have to set an alarm for 20 minutes. Anything past 20 minutes, you start to get in REM, and it'll be really hard for you to get up and be productive later that day. And then at the end of the night, it's going to be hard for you to fall asleep because you slept for so long during the day. So if you get a nice little 20-minute power nap, that actually shows that it increases your energies. If it's less than 20 minutes, but anything more than 20 minutes, it's going to make you have issues sleeping later on that night. The biggest thing that I have found with patients is they go to sleep, but then they wake up frequently during the night and they can't fall back asleep. So studies show, actually, if you can't fall back asleep after 20 minutes, get up and do something. Go to a different room, read a book for a little bit. After 10 to 15 minutes, then go try to lay back down. I will say a caveat of don't get on your phone and start scrolling, because that blue light will affect your sleep patterns and you will not be able to get back into your sleep pattern. So iPads, phones, even TVs, avoid that. So try to do something like I was talking about: meditation, reading, um, even stretching, a little bit of light stretching, just something to get out of your head. And then typically studies have shown that people are able to fall back asleep after that. Obviously, avoid caffeine late in the afternoon, evening time. That's going to keep you buzzing. Even if you think you're caffeine intolerant, like myself, um, it will have further effects later on. It may be not affecting you going to bed, but waking up more frequently in the nighttime. And then, of course, alcohol late in the evening. It's hard for our body to get in REM with the alcohol, especially the more we drink. The REM cycle is where you're deep sleeping and you're getting the most rest. So we want to try to get in that and stay in that as long as possible. And the alcohol actually inhibits that. And then biggest thing is have a good pillow and mattress. They always say don't skimp on your mattress and your shoes, because those are the most things you use in life, and they're going to be the biggest things that bring you the best quality of life. So having a good mattress and a good pillow is a key to keeping good sleep. So how do we set our goals? We want to set realistic goals and action plans, and we use the SMART goal setting approach. So S stands for specific. What will you achieve? What will you do with this goal? M is measurable. What data are you going to use to decide whether you've met your goal or not? A is achievable. Are you sure you can do this? Do you have the right skills and resources? R is relevant. Does the goal align with those of your team or your organization? And how will the result matter? And T is time bound. So what is the deadline for accomplishing these goals? So when you're thinking about what goals you want to do, write out this SMART metric and then see if it aligns. See if we need to adjust anything or cut things back or add things, because this is a great guide on how to set achievable goals, and how to stick with them consistently. And once we start doing these things consistently, they become habits. And once they're habits, then we can't imagine doing life without them. So it just starts small. And if we use this SMART goal setting approach, it sets us up for the most success to keep these goals long term. Okay. I know I talked a lot. Do you guys have any questions?
I'm going to watch the chat for any questions.
Sure.
Thank you, Lauren. That was excellent information. Some really great tips. And I love that it was all inclusive, holistic, looking at not just exercise behaviors, but nutrition and mental health and all of those things. So great suggestions and tips for everyone to get into a better routine after maybe falling into a post-holiday slump. So
yes,
I appreciate your time today, and appreciate everyone coming out and spending a little bit of time with us this evening. Please join us next month on March 5th, again at 5 o'clock. Chelsea Armstrong, one of the exercise specialists, will be here, and she's going to be talking about choosing the proper shoes for exercise. So if you've ever thought about, what you need to consider when you're looking for exercise shoes, she'll be here to give you all the ins and outs of what to look for there. So I don't see any questions on there, but again, thank you, Lauren, for your time, and everyone this evening. Have a great February.
Great. Thank you so much.